See you, bro. Bye. I'm a winner, but I recognize and respect that I have the potential to lose a lot of money today. That's why I will make today's number one priority not to lose more than my defined maximum risk. My only job is to manage risk and allow my profits to take care of themselves. The market is irrational and unpredictable. It will go lower than I think and higher than I expect. I recognize this constant unpredictability by staying humble. I respect the market today no matter how good or bad yesterday was. One day can't make me rich, but one day can make me poor, one day at a time.
Deal with yourself by becoming rich.
Take all your money, buy Bitcoin.
I say when we
And
sell.
wake up every morning and say GM. 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 Okay, Wednesday. Nothing burger. Absolute nothing burgerness. For BTC, we're just waiting patiently after the nice period of high volatility for some tradable conditions, which there have not been in the last 10 days. Nice time to just sit out, do nothing, let something build. Friday, it's options expiry week in TradFi, which puts us in for just where we were yesterday, same as no movement. 36, 40 being the two real extremes. 38, like where we're at, is not. I think that will continue to be where price chops around that 38, but 40 and 36 would be the levels on IBIT to watch. I don't think there's going to be anything to drag us out of this, or any catalyst for Bitcoin really that's going to push it beyond 40, which would be right around 71 at this point, or 36, which takes us all the way back down to about 63. I don't think we get to either. So I would treat BTC as just being in an area of no, very, very low opportunity to no opportunity. No gaps getting left behind, except for some very small moves like the drop yesterday. His quick drop down and a reversion of that. But on any higher time frame, there's really not much developing here. And same for ETH. More of a slightly weaker in terms of its consolidation, is a bit closer to the prior lows, but also just nothing. We've seen the markdown and the bearish consolidation, which led to another markdown, and this is just the beginning of the next consolidation. A rally up to back up into resistance is possible if Bitcoin can have a run towards 80k again, but overall just part of this rebuilding phase and waiting for higher time frame signs across the whole market that there's room for a rally. I think dropping so far so fast into previous area of demand, filling back in that whole gap from May. ETH's move is done. Nice. There was some good movement all the way up through the range, and on the reversion, you've had pretty clean, after the October crash, pretty clean downside, consolidation downside. I think now is where it gets much slower, choppier, as it's fully reverted that move and it's going to go into some kind of basing pattern. Sol, same thing. It's lost the biggest level. It's lost $100. It's lost all of this bull market range that it had, or the bull market support was about 120 when it was actually in the upside, uptrending. Then it broke through that to 100, lower high bounce. Couldn't hold that 120 on the way back, broke down through it. But also into that level in this area where, back at prior support from January of 2024, a level where choppiness again would be to be expected. And much the same. We've had 3 big weeks across the whole market, so expecting longer than that in consolidation. Hype is turning over now. This was from Alta Edge, I believe, I've shown it. I'm not expecting hype to go here, but that would be where it would give the best setup if this first rally was too early, with people getting ahead of themselves, getting excited, or trying to front run some supposed bullish narrative about hype and TradFi flows with the whole silver and gold and Hyperliquid having perps for both, as well as stocks and stock futures. if it takes out those lows and goes into a proper base building, better opportunities will come along later on. Or this rejection doesn't retrace fully and we start to hold and consolidate higher. Outside of that, there's not much else across crypto. And there's really not much else in stocks either, as the OPEX for individual stocks this week. We have SPY and QQQ both sitting still range bound, still within this consolidation. In particular, SPY, like I said, it has to break 675, that weekly low, and stay below it. Everything else is consolidation in between. See, pre-market is trading a little higher as we head into today's session. It is the VIX expiry today for the monthly, which typically you'll see that leading to, if it has been higher, you'll see that reverting, and it's coming down already, which is pretty normal. We'll be watching to see how that goes throughout the rest of today's session and then into tomorrow. If that continues to come down, you'd expect stocks to continue holding up or rallying, and we see that with this overnight move or pre-market move. I just keep my eye on the close of yesterday, around 682 on SPY and around, what was it on Qs, about 600 or 601. It's moving up over in the overnight session. And like I said yesterday on Trade of the Day, for the short trade, the swing trade, main thing would be the 50 and just watching that. Any consolidation underneath there will be likely basing before lower. Tried to go lower than Thursday's low of 2 weeks ago yesterday, or actually, yeah, yesterday, and reversed, or at least held up. So again, just got to let that settle and consolidate. Gold after a red day on Tuesday, small bounce so far on Wednesday. Silver, much the same. So after high volatility throughout January, we're seeing a lower volatility February, more of this compression, consolidation, and pretty similar across stocks as well. Not as much movement over there in January for the broad market, but there was across individual sectors. And some of the big movers, like the Exxons, are in their first pullback after their long breakout rallies. That should lead to some consolidation, if not a reversal. It's the first time it's really pulled back fully, so it's ended its trend. The trend for Exxon of this move up was a sharp, aggressive daily trend, only getting towards the 10 EMA once, but not testing it. It's then closed down through that. That's inflecting lower. So that this part of the trend would be over, and it would move most likely now into a consolidation. I'd be watching it to bounce and see kind of correct with a couple of pushes lower and stay and hold and start to build some better consolidation on the weekly. This isn't a trade. I was just laying out on a stream about breakouts, false breakouts, and then full breakouts. Something like Exxon that's had a big monthly breakout, and energy in general, which has been leading from the start of the year. I will be watching to see after that weekly reversal, does it consolidate for a number of weeks and let the short-term fast averages catch up and find a nice base for a potential push higher in the coming weeks. And then your other main sectors that have been running, like industrials, same thing, continuing to move a little bit higher. Momentum slowing, but still got some upside. The sectors that had been weaker, like tech, remain that way. And software, which have been getting really crushed, same thing. After the deep sell-off last week was a stalling of that momentum. This week, still red, and is red at the moment, but likely not for any continuation lower unless we see last week's low break. And then the main leader there to watch would be Microsoft as it continues to not hold up. No bid coming in just yet, but probably the downside movements. The downwards impulse post-earnings has passed, and we're into this sideways. I would say to take the lows out, it's probably going to still bounce and chop around between 390 and 420 for a few weeks. Nvidia is the last big tech to have earnings of the, at least out of the Mag 7, which is Wednesday 25th. So that's going to be a week from today. So still 1 week left before that. Remains in this consolidation that it's been in. And that's really the state of the market overall. It's consolidations everywhere. No real trends. In stock market, there are some trends for some of the individual names, but more broadly, it's moving into a consolidation pattern, and just watching to see whether QQQ in particular continues that downside movement or if it can reclaim 620. That is pretty much it. Not a place to be looking for too much other than just letting these time trends continue if they are making new lows, or consolidations like Nvidia or BTC or the index build up into something that we can actually see some movement from. That's about it. Short one, GM. Trade of the day, I'll break down some of the lower time frame levels to watch intraday. It's much more of a scalpers, day traders market, if anything, at the moment. If you see some movement on BTC or on the futures or the index for either S&P, NASDAQ, gold, you got to really be patient and just wait for movement and trade them between their local levels.
Mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with breathe air. Here's the second best, okay?
GM. So, trade of the day, nothing changes for QQQ for me. Still, main position, talked about yesterday. Did we see continuation lower? Nope. If not, then consolidation could go on, as I mentioned, just with this. Not that it's going to do that or repeat, just that price can spend a lot longer consolidating here, or it could roll over and break down, but no immediate breakdown. With the VIX coming down a little bit, there's support coming in. Market is not breaking down, but it's not yet reclaimed any of the levels that would allow it to make its way higher. I would continue to watch those two levels of 595 and 605. So 595, 605. We got to 595 yesterday. 600 is more of a mid-range or a equilibrium balance point at the moment. This price doesn't hold it nor reject it. So watching 605, watching 595. Above that, obviously 610. Below that, 590. But everything in between, I just expect chop. And for SPY, I would have it at about 6. Right where we are now, the 50-day is a good level to watch. Or prior low 675. And then 690 above being next resistance. And again, for any continuation or reclaim for bulls, it's got to get towards that 700 level and hold it. For Bitcoin, everything between 70, anything between 65 and 75 is a mid-range, because 60 and 80 are the extremes. So when you zoom that in further and you're looking at price moving up and down between 65 and 70, it's really just compression. You're seeing higher lows, but also lower highs, and it's compressed. Not a place to be taking on positions unless we see some movement. And after such a big move, it's likely going to get stuck in one of these compressive phases for a while. Back to that usual patience. Vertiv, short trade still running, no change. The daily of yesterday was a nice recovery. First part of what you want to see if it's going to go higher will be that, and you're just looking to see does it continue to hold in this area. If it continues to hold, consolidate, and the bands are starting to catch up and the market's not rolling over, it's one of the ones likely set for move higher. But I'll see how today's session goes before making any call on it. Coming into yesterday's close, we came right back up to Thursday's open, which is a level to watch. Obviously in the overnight and then pre-market is pushing higher, but that is yesterday's session, very, very low volume, not much. I think there's more positions closing out, some short positions rolling over, going back for a retest, I want to see what happens off the New York Open today and see how things move once we actually get into the full session. After having a good Tuesday green session, see if that follows through on Wednesday. If we stay strong and up here above the, especially the value area low from the Wednesday session that we previously lost, that's the main SR level I'll be watching. Right around 238, 239 that it lost on Friday and rejected a couple of times. That got reclaimed on Tuesday. So 238 will be that first level to watch, and then 243 is right where we closed yesterday and was the open from the prior Thursday. And that's about it. I don't see anything else. I don't see any trades lining up. For me, it's just a case of managing the positions that are open, waiting for the market to give some decent movement, and seeing does this turn from a potential risk off to holding and recovery. And with that VIX expiration today, getting through that full session and then into tomorrow should give a better indication of where we're at. And then I think I would expect consolidation today, if not maybe a little bit higher. Tomorrow, similar. Then Friday has the most potential for some more movement this week. Friday, we've got two big data points coming in with the GDP and the core PC inflation. Outside of any headline risk across the market generally, then Friday's data will be the next place to look for. And that's it. GMJ.
And strength pretty strongly. So
Order filled. Order filled.
Stopped out. One more ticket. This should get filled at 6908. Because they want this stop loss right here. If it gets filled, it gets filled. If not, then whatever. feel like this is the best entry I can get. Price is just compressed here. Now when price is compressing like that, can make a move, another impulse move, but we'll just have to see. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Disrespecting that 12 EMA. So we're now trading below it. Be careful, tighten stop loss. The ATR is close. Trending is decreasing. Bulls are still buying. They still own this market, so could see another full leg up, or could see a deep retracement to these levels. We have room to go to that Sunday open, but price is compressing. Price is compressing on the 15-minute, so hopefully we can make that compressed short pullback and move up.
Order filled.
It's all right. Because the real entry was right here, so almost 30 points. Good point.
Boy.